Chapter 13 Another View of Hester. In her last singular interview with Mr. Demestel, Hester Penny was shocked at the condition to which she found the clergyman reduced. His nerves seemed absolutely destroyed. His moral force was abased into more than childish weakness. It groped helpless on the ground, even while its intellectual faculties retained their pristine strength, or had perhaps acquired a morbid energy which disease only could have given them. With her knowledge of a train of circumstances hidden from all others, she could readily infer that besides the legitimate action of his own conscience, a terrible machinery had been brought to bear, and was still operating on Mr. Demestel's well-being and repose. Knowing what this poor fallen man had once been, her whole soul was moved by the shuddering terror with which he had appealed to her, the outcast woman, for support against his instinctively discovered enemy. She decided, moreover, that he had right to her utmost act. Little accustomed in her long seclusion from society to measure her idea of right and wrong by any standard external to herself, Hester saw or seemed to see that there lay a responsibility upon her in reference to the clergyman, which she ought to no other, nor to the whole world besides. The links that united her to the rest of the humankind, links of flower, or skill, or gold, or whatever the material, had all been broken. Here was the iron link of mutual crime, which neither he nor she could break, like all other ties, but it brought along with it its obligations. Hester Prynne did not now occupy precisely the same position in which we behold her during the earlier periods of his ignominy. Years had come and gone. Pearl was now 7 years old. Her mother, with the scarlet letter on her breast, glittering in its fantastic embroidery, had long been a familiar object to the townspeople, as is apt to be the case when the person stands out in any prominence before the community, and at the same time interferes neither with public nor individual interest and convenience. A species of general regard had ultimately grown up and inference to Hester Prynne. It is to the credit of human nature that, except where its selfishness is brought into play, it loves more readily than it hates. Hatred, by the gradual and quiet process, will even be transformed to love, unless the change is impeded by a continually new irritation of the original feeling of the hostility. In this matter of Hester Prynne, there was neither interruption nor exuberance. She never battled with the public, but submitted uncomplainingly to its worst usage. She made no claim upon its requital for what she suffered. She did not weep upon its sympathies. Then also, the blameless purity of her life during all these years in which she had been set apart to infamy was reckoned largely in her favor. We think nothing now too close in the sight of mankind, and with no hope, and seemingly no wish of gaining anything, it could only be a genuine regard for virtue that had brought back the poor wanderer to its path. It was perceived, too, that while Hester never put forward even the humblest title to share into the world's privileges further than to brave the common air and undeliberate for little Pearl and herself by the faithful lever of her hand. She was quick to acknowledge her sisterhood with the race of men whenever benefits were to convert. None so ready as she gave of her little substance to every demand of poverty, even though the bitter-hearted pauper threw back the gift in control of the food brought regularly to his door, or the garment wrought for him by the finger that could have embroidered a monarch's robes. None so self-devoted as Hester when pestilence stalked through the town. In all seasons of calamity, indeed, when general or of individuals, the outcast of society at once found her place. She came not as a guest, but as a rightful inmate into the household that was darkened by trouble, as if its gloomy twilight were a medium in which she was entitled to hold intercourse with her fellow creature. There glimmered the embroidered letter, with comfort in its unearthly ray, elsewhere the token of sin. It was the taper of the sick chamber. It had even thrown its gleam in the severest far extremity. Across the verge of time, it had shown him where to set his foot. While the light of the earth was fast becoming dim, and ere the light of futurity could reach him, in such emergencies Hester's nature showed itself born and rich, a wellspring of human tenderness, unfailing to every real demand, and inexhaustible by the largest. Her breast, with its bandage of shame, was but the softer pillow for the head that needed one. She was self-ordained as a sister of mercy, or we may rather say the word's heavy hand had so ordained her. When neither the word nor she looked forward to the result, the latter was a symbol of her calling. Such helpfulness was found in her, so much power to do, the power to sympathize that many people refuse to interpret the scarlet letter, the scarlet A, by its original signification. That said that it meant a belt, so strong was Hester Prynne was a woman's strength. It was only the darkened house that could contain her. When sunshine came again, she was not here. Her shadow had faded across the threshold. The helpful inmate had departed, without one backward glance to gather upon the mat of gratitude. If any were in the hearts of those whom she had served to listlessly meeting them in the street, she never raised her head to receive their greeting. If they were resolute to accost her, she laid her finger on the scarlet letter and paced on. This might be pride, but was so like humility that it produced all the softening influence of the latter quality of the public mind. The public is despotic in its temper. It is capable of denying common justice when too strenuously demanded as a right, but quite as frequently it awards more than justice. When the appeal is made, the despot loves to have it made, entirely to its generosity, interpreting Hester Prynne's deployment as an appeal of this nature, society was inclined to show its former victim a more benign countenance than she cared to be favored with, or perchance than she deserved. The rulers and she wise and learned men of the community were longer in acknowledging the influence of Hester's good qualities than the people. The prejudice which they shared in common with the latter were fortitude in themselves by an Arab framework of reasoning that made it far harder labor to expel them. Day by day, nevertheless, their sore and rigid wrinkles were relaxing into something which, in the due course of years, might grow to be an expression of almost benevolence. Thus it was with the men of rank, on whom their eminent position imposed the guardianship of the public morals, individuals in private life individuals in private life. Meanwhile, had quite forgiven Hester Preeney for her frailty. Nay, no more. They had begun to look upon the scarlet letter as the token, not of that one thing for which she had borne so long and dreary a penance, but of her many good deeds since. Do you see the woman with the embroidered badge? They would say to strangers, "It is our Hester, the town's own Hester, who is so kind to the poor, so helpful to the sick, so comfortable to the afflicted." Then it is true the propensity of human nature to tell the very worst of itself, when embodied in the person of another, will constrain them to worship the black scandal of bygone years. It was none the less fact, however, that in the eyes of the very men of spoke thus, the scarlet letter had the effect of the cross on a nun's bosom. It imparted to the weavers a kind of scaredness which enabled her to walk securely amid all perils. Had she fallen among thieves, it would have kept herself safe. It was reported and believed by many that an Indian had drawn his sorrow against the bandage, and that the minister struck it and fell harmless to the ground. The effect of the symbol, or rather, or the position in the respect to society that was indicated by it, on the mind of Hester Preeney herself was powerful and peculiar. All the light and graceful foliage of her character had been withered upon by this red-hot brand, and had long ago fallen away, leaving a bar and harsh outline which might have been repulsive and she posed friends or companion to be repelled by it. Even the attractiveness of her person had undergone a similar change. It might be partly owing to studied austerity of her dress, and partly to lack of the demonstration in her manners. It was that transformation, too, that her rich and luxuriant hair had either been cut off, or was so completely hidden by a cap, and not a shiny lock of it ever once gushed into the sunshine. It was due in part to all these causes, but still more to something else, that there seemed to be no longer anything in Hester's face for love to dwell upon, nothing in Hester's form, though majestic and statue-like, that patience would ever dream of clasping in the embrace, nothing in Hester's bosom to make it ever again the pillow of affection. Some attribute had departed from her, the permanence of which had been essential to keep her a woman. Such is frequently the fact, and such the stern development of the feminine character and person, When the woman has encountered and lived through an experience of peculiar severity, if she be all tenderness, she will die. If she survives, the tenderness will either be crushed out of her, and the outward semblance is the same, crushed so deeply into her heart that it can never show itself more. The latter is perhaps the truest theory. She who has once been a woman and ceased to be so, might at any moment become a woman again if there were only the magic touch to effect the transformation. We should see whether Hester Prynne were ever afterwards so touched and so transfigured. Much of the marble coldness of Hester's impression was to be attributed to the circumstance that her life had turned, in a great measure, from passion and feeling to thought, standing alone in the world, alone as to any dependence on society, and with little pride to be guided and protected alone, and hopeless of retrieving her position, even had she sworn to consider it desirable. She cast away the fragment of broken chain. The world's law was no law for her mind. It was an age in which the human intellect, newly emancipated, had taken a more active, a wider range for than for many centuries before. Men of the sword had overthrown nobles and kings. Men bolder than these had overthrown and rearranged, not actually but within the sphere of theory which was their most real abode, the whole system of ancient prejudice, wherewith was linked much of ancient principles. Hester Prynne imbibed this spirit. She assumed a freedom of speculation then common enough on the other side of Atlantic, but which our forefathers have laid known it would have held to be a deadlier crime than just stigmatized by the scarlet letter. In her lonesome cottage by the seashore, those visited her search dared to enter on no other dwelling in New England, shallowing guests, though that would have been as precious as demons to their entertainment could they have been seen so much as knocking at her door. It is remarkable that persons who speculate the most boldly often confirm with the most perfect quietude to the external regulation of society. The thought surfaces them without investing itself the flesh and blood of action, so it seems to be with Hester. Yet had little Pearl never come to her from the spiritual world, it might have been far otherwise. Then she might have come down to us in history, hand in hand with Anne Hutchinson as the foundress of the religious sect. She might, in one of her phrases, have been a prophetess. She might, and not improbably, would have suffered death from the stern tribunals of the of tribunal of the period for attempting to undermine the foundation of the Puritan establishment. But in the education of her child, the mother's enthusiasm thought had something to brag itself upon. Providence, in the persons of this little girl,